Leroy, Ike, Frank on Zoom. The only one I see missing so far is Bob. He might be joining us in a couple minutes. So everyone is accounted for as far as the commissioners are concerned. So let's do pledge allegiance. Leroy, Ike. Okay, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's amazing how we do that. Do we have any discussions on the minutes from May before I make motions? Would everybody there and have a
Page 4, I believe push list should be punch list. And the building committee and several lines down, roads and room is actually one word. That's the only thing I found.
Okay. Any other comments on minutes before we? I'm going to take this down when I talk. I'm full of
Well, that was your job too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve minutes from May 10th, 2021. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Okay, the minutes are approved. I don't see any public, so I don't think we have any public comments. So I'll go to, do we have any public comments? No, okay. He's hiding in the corner. All right, well then we're gonna go to Chief's report.
Okay, so first, I apologize for my voice. I don't know if I have allergies. There's Rob.
Hi, Bob, I got you.
Okay, and I want to welcome everybody back to the St. John's Fire District Commission meeting for the first time since last February. So that's pretty amazing. For those that aren't aware, our commissioner, Ike, who's never been present
Oh, that's
in
right.
person
We never had one.
as a
in-
commissioner. No.
Welcome, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that, very nice to have everybody back, at least in semi-fashion. Not to ignore all of you out there and, on Zoom. So appreciate everybody's showing up and we're all here. Couple of things, we'll get started. As you all know, we got through the PGA, that's now in the rear view. Nothing remarkable, actually. One dumpster fire that was in the bubble that was reported by our cable, we responded. Many medical calls, a lot of it for dehydration, Band-Aid calls, so on and so forth. There were a couple of little more serious things that happened along the way, but you know, I think that it was a successful event. We did formulate an invoice for the PGA, and that's been sent. And they are working on paying that. And that was approximately about $30,000 for mostly personnel, staffing, and overtime for St. John's. So I do want to bring that up. So I am happy to say that we do have 2 promotions for this evening, from firefighter to engineer. Invite them in the room. Yeah, I do believe we have some family here.
On this side, the wife. Everybody else is on this side.
Oh, you mean.
How you doing? Captain Eversole. All right, so these 2 gentlemen are going from firefighter to engineer. As many of you are aware, it is our first step in the promotional process. They take on the responsibilities of making sure the apparatus is ready for the day, that it has all the equipment, and then making sure that the apparatus gets to the scene of the emergencies. Obviously, that is our primary responsibility as first responders to make sure we safely get there. So they have gone through capability testing, written testing, they've met the criteria of classes in order to even test and to accomplish their first promotion. So I do want to say thank you for all your hard work, gentlemen. I think your wife is here. What doesn't want to be a project to stick.
Increase trips to host.
Were you worried? Did someone tell you they got stabbed?
No,
No, okay.
I've just done this before.
I was gonna say, you make me nervous. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Undone, we're done. You're good, I'll take it. No, I will stick you just for the heck of it, what you do. It's always nice, and it's so nice to finally do this in person. I'm sure you guys all agree to be here for that. But that means a lot. I'm gonna do this. You guys should do it too, because I'm don't know, I got a folder. So, if you want to bring the white up here. You guys should come here.
Find there, you can lose the mask, so then it makes a better picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a better picture.
The earrings are always down.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay, so while you all are here, I think actually it might be nice if you're here for the next presentation. So, we try to develop our officers and our candidates at St. John's. And, through the pandemic, it has been a little more difficult. People not being able to take outside training and so on and so forth. And so we have relied on Zoom in order to accomplish some of that training. Also, we have virtual meetings with our personnel every morning with the officers on duty and chiefs. And so being able to reach them virtually makes it a little bit easier than the chief on duty driving all through the district and the size of our district. It's been pretty large. We have selected a candidate for our training chief position in operations. They will come on in inside Highland. He accepted the position today, and I will introduce you to him at the July meeting. I have two administrative candidates that have been involved in the Executive Fire Officer Program, the Student National Fire Academy. It's a 4-year program where they have to attend classes normally prior to COVID 2 weeks a year of those 4 years. This year they've been doing a lot of that online. It kind of got suspended. They also have to write a very detailed and lengthy research paper on a problem in their department that they see and how they would address it. So I have, I'm very proud to say, the Chief Gilcrease has completed that program this year, in the 4th year. I did it. But I did want to present to you, Chief Gilcrease.
Yes, beautiful.
Thanks. Because I know that was a long time coming.
Yes, it was.
And,
Ryan.
That's all for the wire. But yeah, very a lot of work, very much deserved, and very unpredictable, and not knowing where they stood during the whole pandemic, because that was supposed to have been accomplished in 2020. And Ryan is also in that process. And he should be completed probably, he would have been completed this year, probably will be completed next year. So I just want to say, really a lot of hard work. I'm very, very proud of it. I'm glad that they stuck to it. It's not been easy, and it's been uncertain. So, and it's truly, they only accept so many candidates per year. And St. John's has been able to get successfully 10 candidates that are almost through that program. So I'm very, very proud of it. So, good on you. All right. Next, I did want to say, we had an EAP program that was, the good thing about our existing or prior EAP program was that they concentrated on first responders. Without warning, they advised us that this lady was going to retire her practice. The practice was named saved. So actually Valerie has been in the process of searching out another really good provider for EAP services. And we've gotten a couple of bids, and we'll be able to update you on that, because we want to make sure that we have care for our people when they need it. So we are working on that. I hope I'm not remiss in saying, and I'm not sure if all of you aware, that Valerie is going to have a child, her first child, due in November. So very happy, and we're allowed to say that. So yeah, so and we're working on making sure that we have all of our bases covered to come forward. And but I'm very, very happy for her and her husband. Again, so it's pretty exciting news for St. John. We had fire up on Kiowa on Conifer. And actually was a vehicle that caught fire inside the home. Station 4, I believe, was close proximity to that. Really did a nice job. And nice. We'll see you guys. Thank you. So actually, they limited the damage to the garage and the car itself. There was also a fire on Lomla on Vizcaya, and that was in the trailer. Looked like it started in the laundry room. Smoke and some smoke and heat damage throughout the trailer, which is to be expected in a smaller structure. We got a bid for strapping down the trailer down on Maiden Road. It's approximately $5,000. We want to make sure we strap it down for hurricane before we have electricity provided to that structure. So we can talk about that in the executive session. We actually, Alyssa worked on attempting to get 3 bids as our guidance suggests. However, only one person got back to us, but we do have a record of the companies that we contacted. We also got 3 bids, received 3 bids for demo of the main road property, and I'll share those with you in the executive session also. Ramona has been in touch with the auditors, and I'll let her elaborate, but they will be in-house to start our audit approximately August 9th through the 13th as the dates that they had suggested. We are moving ahead with the live fire training and instructor certification of our personnel for NFPA 1403 certification. They changed the dates on us, but that will also be happening in August. We switched it from July to August, so I appreciate it. Chris sent out those dates last week. So, should I cover all the bases here? I think that's it for now. Ryan, you have your.
Since we're back. For the month of May, St. John's Fire personnel installed 34 Smoke alarms in St. John's residents, they have to check 3 car seats. We do have a busy 4th of July scheduled with 6 different fireworks displays over the course of 2 days. We just sent out some off duty for that. So it'll be a busy 4th of July.
So is the sheriff's department going to complement the fire marshal's department for the different?
So most of the events have the sheriff's office involved with it. We have some different roles. So we usually provide a fire marshal for each of the displays. This one's going to be a little crazy because we're going to be kind of bouncing around a little bit, which isn't ideal. And then we also have off-duty crews that are there for fire suppression as well.
Yeah, I understand that in past years, and it was a few years ago, that we had some issues with ground control. And I don't think our personnel should have to deal with that, so that's why, and if that happened on Seabrook.
Right.
And I mentioned it to someone, we should have the sheriff there to deal with that.
Yes, we addressed that with the former mayor, and also I think the mayor now. That was about 2 years ago we had that issue. Last year, we did have the sheriff's office who was out there. I think they had a couple of deputies.
Yeah, we canceled them last year.
Or, I'm sorry, so then it's 2 years, 3 years before 2019.
And
Yeah.
we're ignoring them last year.
Right, my years are running together. So they did help us a little bit better with that. And really that security portion of it is on the vendor that's doing the fireworks.
Oh, okay.
So yes, while the event in Seabrook maybe hires off-duty, sheriff's office employees, we really stress that the vendor who's doing that display, it's on them to keep their site secure. Now, it's difficult when you have it's on a golf course and people walk back and forth, but it was better 2 years ago. We did have a better outcome.
Thank you.
Keep going.
Is everybody doing? So the monthly stats for April, sorry, not April, other than May. Again, his years are running together. My months, that's everything's shot, right? So in May, we had 377 incidents that we responded to. We did have a significant uptick, and that was due to the EMS calls for the PGA. So you can just pretty much see going down the line. Johns Island accounted for 212, Kiowa had 105, Seabrook had 31, and Wausau had 29. And on our monthly comparative analysis, you can kind of see on 2021, we were way above where we would normally be at or where we were this time last year. Does anybody have any questions? All right.
Okay, that being said, thank you, gentlemen.
Okay. So Ramona, the financial report. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. All right, so for May, our remaining budget goal is 8.33%. We are actually at 22.13%. So a lot of savings there. The last meeting, I kind of went over with you all different areas that we would try to, take advantage of, and we've encumbered, some of those items like, the highway. Yeah, so we encumbered a lot of those items we went over, but we still have major savings. I've done some additional analysis for Chief Walls, and she's going to go over it with you later on some additional options that we've thought of before 6:30. So bank balances at the end of May, the operating balance was roughly $10 million. Our LGIP is roughly 11,000. For revenue, our May collections were $3,664, which includes retiree premium reimbursements, donations, and miscellaneous reimbursements. The wire transfer that we got from Charleston County was roughly $325,000. That was for April property taxes. And then for expenses, our year-to-date overtime non-standard as of the end of May is at roughly $306,000. I also mentioned that we'll roughly get $30,000 back from PGA. About a week after it ended, which was May 23rd, we invoiced them for our overtime costs. As for capital projects, 2016 and 17, again, zero balance. And then our 2018, have roughly $1 million left. And then for 2021, roughly $1.9 million. Moving on to our financial dashboard. It's really good to see how we're trending with our property tax revenue. We have an increase from last May of roughly $260,000, but overall, our tax increase for the year is $556,000, and I think that's great considering the pandemic. Our year-to-date operating expenditures as of the end of May is at $11.3 million. Expenses are down by $23,000 from last year. 23,000, sorry. Again, as I mentioned, the operating cash is roughly $10 million compared to $8 million last year. The non-cash available is $2.9 million compared to $8 million last year. As mentioned, the non-standard overtime is roughly $305K compared to $278,000 from last year. The year-to-date salaries, which includes the regular and the standard overtime, is at $5.7 million, which is kind of trending the same as last year. The vacation is up, but that's at $598,000 compared to $409,000 from last year. And the staff efficiency for May is 83%. We had a little bit of expense for COVID in May, $950, and the year-to-date is $45,000. Current staffing requirements are 3 engineers, 10 firefighters, and 1 administrative staff, which that'll come off because, as Chief has mentioned, we hired someone for that administrative vacancy. Before I get into the HR updates, as Chief said, the auditors are going to be coming from August 9th through the 13th. I'm going to do my best to have everything that they need prior to August. They have sent me a PVC list. And so me and my staff will be busy on that. We've also done a payroll audit. We are gearing up for executive time. We've actually been working on that for a couple months now. And as we actually get testing done, I'll report to you where we are with that. Yes. It's year end in the next two weeks. So we send out a list of year end deadlines. And so spending is pretty much cut off on tomorrow, except for emergencies. Of course, due to the nature of what we do, things come up, vehicles need to be fixed. But for the most part, any planned out expenditures, the deadline is for tomorrow so that we can start doing what we need to plan to do to get the budgets entered and things updated for the next fiscal year. So I just wanted to make sure of that. As far as HR updates, no injuries reported for May. 1 employee out since September 2020. And for recruit updates, currently accepting applications for recruit firefighters, but the application deadline was June 11th, which was this past Friday. And then 4 experienced firefighters started on June 1st. And that's all I have, unless you all have any questions.
Yeah, Ramona, I know, and I don't know if all the commissioners know, but the second reading of the
Yes.
of the new budget next year got approved. And I forgot to write down when is the third?
Third reading is June 22nd, 6:30. I actually checked today to see if the agenda was possibly up yet, but it's not. And yes, second reading was approved on the 8th, and it was unanimous with 1 absent.
And that's usually where the public comments come into play. So I know. So
It was a very interesting meeting.
I bet, I looked at the agenda and then I got tied up with something else. So I think the fact that our budget got approved except for one absent, and it appears there wasn't any public comments about our budget.
Nope.
And we're not asking for a tax increase, so I'm not anticipating any issues.
There may be any issues. I think third reading allows for amendment, but I don't think that we're gonna have any problems. I feel about. Yeah, but yeah, I think we're good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Donald, do you have any updates?
One thing for executive session, and the other thing was that, and I sent copies to Chief and to Ms. Lehman. I reached out again to MUSC to try to get some contact person for whatever they're going to build on Seabrook. I rewrote the general counsel's office, basically the same letter I wrote a month ago, but I also wrote Don Johnson, who's with Southeastern Spine, and he's one of the board of trustee people, thinking, maybe it won't get lost in his shuffle as easily. And if we don't hear back, the next step is Leon Stavronakis' brother is also a Charleston representative, and I know Leon well enough to ask him to sort of give his brother an elbow and get our attention. So we'll sort of keep going down that line till we find somebody.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Chief, do you have anything else on the old business for the PGA after?
No.
Any new business? Okay, committee reports, Bill, building committee.
Okay, Station 6, as you may recall, the concrete apron out in front of the building had been re-poured, but we discovered that it was re-poured at the wrong elevation, so it has to be removed and redone again. That'll all be done by Thomas Dutton, daily engineers, contract to redo that. And then after that, Kika needs to come back and redo the street level blacktop to match that. At some point, we would want to do Chief a water test.
Yeah.
Get all that.
I did want to say that Shannon from Keep contacted me again last week because they also are trying to make sure that they close out their books for the end of June. So she's going to send their portion of money to St. John's and just make sure that they get credit for their portion of what they're going to pay.
Station 4, the work continues on the storm drains. There's actually quite a bit of work that's done, being done behind it's actually the front of the fire station, but behind from the street. The concrete work will be started next week there to pour the aprons that's outside of the building. The floor area under the parking garage is all compacted and ready for blacktop, and that'll be done later as well. We're still looking for completion by the end of June. And the OAC meeting, or architect contractor meeting that was scheduled for June 22nd has been moved to June 29th. Last Tuesday of the month at 10 o'clock. So it's also a building committee meeting. Chris Palmer will be sending out the usual call in information for it. On the main road, we met with several of us met with Tupco a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, to discuss preparation, having them prepared data documents for us for the proposed new maintenance building. Tupco will have his civil engineer review the site, and then we'll give us a price to prepare those documents.
Okay, finance committee, we did not have a June 10th finance committee meeting. It's the only topic at that time was the monthly close, and we went over that tonight. When we met with Tupco 23rd at Main Road. I did talk to them about how long would it take to put together this bid package that we would then send out for at least a minimum of 3 bids. And he said altogether, this might take 8 to 10 months. So the reason I was asking that question from the finance standpoint was, we have $258,000 set aside to begin work on Main Road, which would include demolition and also abatement and monitoring the demolition. And I was trying to figure out what we need, money for before the end of the year. And it sounds like the actual construction wouldn't start until the beginning of 2022. So we'll be within the window that we discussed with our consultants on going out for another bond issue. So as of January 2022, we would need to pay off the bond loan that we took out, and then we'll determine, how much money we need for Main Road, and look at the strategic plan and determine if that bond should include possibly Kiowa River. We don't know yet what the update is on Kiowa River. Just to remind you, once we hit the 200 certificate of occupancy is when we get the 3 acres to determine what we can build there, whether it's just a fire station or if it's some of the other county buildings. So I know pre-pandemic, we had talked about meeting with the planning commission, I forget Joel. He had said about, well, we should probably start talking about that. So maybe we can set something up yet this summer. We need to determine in that 3 acres, is it just going to be a fire station, or do they want police station? Do they want EMS? Do they even mentioned a magistrate or something like that? With building on Betsy Carrison for EMS, and they're not even really using it too much. I saw an ambulance there once in the last couple of months. I don't know if they want to build something on the river. So that's what we need to find out. So that's kind of where we're at from a bond issue, finance issue. So do you have any questions? We'll have a strategic meeting and start to talk a little bit more before we kick off any discussions in the next bond issue. But I think the priority is Main Road maintenance building. Then we may be looking at Kiowa River. We have Station 5. We obviously have equipment, in between that we've already identified. Fire engines, 1 in this year, which I think we may have to
Delivery this year.
Yeah, we have 1 engine for 2021.
Yes, we know we're gonna have an order for
Okay.
sure, but delivery, that's gonna be, I don't know about delivery this year. We're hoping it will be this year.
All right, well, yeah.
We really are.
Yeah, I just bought a car and I found out the challenges of inventory on. Okay. And we do have budgeted 2 for 2022 and 1 for 2023. So that's, high up on our priorities. We also have a rescue truck, but that's not coming in until a couple of years from now. So that's just kind of the priority thing that we'll talk about. Any questions? Okay, human resource.
No topics.
Eric?
We didn't have any meetings with our report.
So any public or firefighter comments?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
it's very unusual for me to stand up here during this section. I'm pretty much, in the spotlight all day long, so I have to take the opportunity to, I want to just do it right now, right? So I just wanted to, I have in private and had talked with Chief Walls, and not a lot of people understand what it goes to just to get into that EFO program. It takes a lot, and the ultimate sign off is the fire chief to say, yeah, I believe in you, you can go do it. I've told Chief every year, thanks for giving me the opportunity to let me go and develop professionally as a fire service leader. And I just want to take the opportunity tonight to thank her publicly. It's not something I've done before, but I'm done with the program now, so she can't, just take me out or whatever. So, but no, Chief, I just want to say thank you again, very publicly. I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity, and it was fun. It was real fun, but it's not something I look forward to ever have to do it again. So, but I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Any other comments? Commissioner comments, Ike. Do you have any comments?
Yes, I'd like to congratulate the two new engineers and also congratulate Chief Gilchrist for your accomplishment. And congratulate the hard work that the St. John Fire Department is doing at school. Yes.
Steve? Well, that was easy. Bill?
I'll repeat it. Congratulate the two engineers that got promoted and Chief Gilchrist for quite an accomplishment.
Leroy?
I'll ditto on Ike, but one other thing. On last Wednesday, in one of my volunteer jobs, they sent out an email on the Tuesday night saying that you don't have to wear a mask because everyone will be there, will have been vaccinated at least 2 weeks. Well, lo and behold, there was an individual who came in who hadn't been vaccinated and said that I will not get vaccinated. So then we had to work in close proximity, all except that I am retired, so I get the opportunity to say I'm going home. So I took my little self and went home and then had a couple of adult drinks to try to make sure I didn't get sick. Please be vigilant and wear your mask when you're around, because you don't know who might not take this serious. You know, I've had several of my retired friends that have died from COVID, all because they didn't think it was real. Somebody who's been in combat should know if they tell you incoming, you duck. Thank you.
I'd like to congratulate the new engineers. Gavin, I'm glad you got that mask on. You probably need it. Although praise for Chief. No. Congratulations. Thank you.
Mary, do you have any comments?
Well, my comment is it's good and it's a blessing to see each and every one of you once again. It's a blessing to be among each and every one of you once again also. Be safe, be careful, and definitely keep on your mask. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob?
I'd just like to congratulate the two new engineers, a great accomplishment. And actually congratulate the staff and the firefighters for a wonderful year. The revenue is up, expenses are down. What could go wrong?
Just
We're not quite to July yet.
Never say to a firefighter how quiet.
Yeah. Right?
I just wanted to thank Chief Walls and all the staff, all the firefighters, command staff that proudly represented us during the PGA at an international event, and how everybody made us all so proud working such an important event that brought us some great publicity. So good job, everybody.
Thank you. I know they're not here, but I'd like to congratulate the two engineers that got promoted. And congratulations, Chief Gilchrist. I know what it's like to get on a master's degree, so I can only imagine the pain you went through. I think that we were very well represented at the PGA. I get compliments from different people that I run into about this fire district. We're held in very high regard, so I'm proud to be part of this fire district. That's it. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to go to executive session. We need to discuss some legal issues and some contractual issues. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I think I have to ask for abstain or fine. Okay, so how are we going to do this? Are we going to stay here and just shut down and use the conference call, or are we going to go in the little room? We don't all fit now.
Might be easy.
There's no table in that room.
The
So,
phone still working?
yeah, should be.
Table in there? Okay.
See See you guys. Thank you.